Welcome to Writers on the Air, a show dedicated to all writers and poets. My name is Linda Schell, and I am your host this week while my co hostess, Linda Wright, is on vacation. And by the way, we hope to go back to Common Grounds the end of September, where your hostess will be Emma Fikes Alberts. We are coming to you this morning live on Facebook. Our show also airs Sundays at 3:04 on WKDW Radio 97.5 FM and streams at kdwradio.com. Thank you to RJ Malloy, our station manager, and Marie LeBras, our tech, who helps us now because we can no longer meet at Common Grounds due to COVID. For questions or donations, please contact the radio station at 941 564 8738. We are a 501c-3 nonprofit community radio. If you would like to submit your essay or poetry, not more than 3 minutes in length, please call me or contact me at lshell2@verizon.net. And you will see my email address pop up on the screen below intermittently throughout the show. And we have some new faces today. I want to introduce Barbara Field, McLaren Davies, and Ethan Babb. And our D.L. Havlin has been here before, but very rarely, and he's really cranking along with his books. We want to talk to him about that. Barbara is a professional writer. She worked for CBS and Harcourt, just to name a few, and she's been published in the New York Daily News, Salon, AARP, and Forbes. That's just a sampling. Recently, she had a small little ditty published in the New York Times. And Barbara, let's put you on here.
Okay.
And are you ready? What do you have there for us today? Is it that New York Times article?
Yes, thank you so much. I just had something that came out in print yesterday in the New York Times. It's a tiny love story, and it's very short, and I'm ready to read it to you guys. It was I was online a week ago, and then it came out in print yesterday on page 3 of the New York Times. It's called A Simple Friendship. Blah, blah, he would say, knocking. Only two, Isabel would venture through the building's halls to my apartment. Together, we'd water my plants or scribble a story. At 3, she told me all about Peppa Pig. At 4, Isabel came to my door saying, Barbara, taste mommy's cheer. We savored its delicate sweetness. On East 84th Street in Manhattan, we watched tulips bloom, leaves fall, snow arrive. Hi, Barbara, Isabel said at 5. Sitting on my window ledge, she'd count taxis and doggies. Unlike the complicated men I dated, if I offered Isabel a tangerine, she'd simply relish it.
Thank you. Now, how old is Isabel now?
Isabel is 5 right now.
Oh, she's 5. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're still in touch with her and still growing up with her?
Yes, and she was very excited because there's a picture also with it of Isabel and me when I took her to an ice cream place. And so she feels kind of famous. She's in the New York Times. And so she's really excited about it. And she's a sweet little girl, and she's Indian American, and they're just the sweetest. So it's kind of
we posted her picture with you on Facebook, so she can tap into our Facebook page anytime and see it.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, and come back again.
Thank you.
Okay. Um, our next lady is McLaren Davies. She's a member of the Sarasota Fiction Writers, and she has a book available on Amazon called Living Life Inside Out. She also has another book she's going to bring out of print called Spirit of the Valley. And McLaren, will you please tell us, as a representative of Sarasota Fiction Writers, how people can get in touch if they want a good critique group? Who do they talk to?
Yes, that would be Patrick Gray, and he's at msn.com by email. And he's a very gracious, talented man, and would be willing to welcome writers into the group.
Thank you. I've been to one of his critique groups. It was very helpful. Okay, you're going to be reading from Living Life Inside Out today? Is that the one you're going to read?
Yeah, this is the copy of my book, my most recent book, and Living Life Inside Out. And I'm going to start at the beginning. The first chapter is called Beginning at the Beginning. And 10,000 years before there was a White Bear Lake, Minnesota, the glacier scraped and ground all in its path and then halted after crossing what would become Orchard Lane. As the climate warmed, the glacier melted, leaving tons and tons of sand behind, rising 12 feet above an ancient graveyard. The remains of plants and animals, their kind never to live again on the face of the earth, fed the soil, making a rich bed for what would follow. 10,000 years later, on a summer evening, I sat at the edge of that hill, above the peat bog, drawn there by a sudden silent stillness. Meadowlark's flute silenced. Was it in anticipation of what? Red-winged blackbird called no more his conqueree. Intently I listened. All I could hear was the silence. I raised my eyes and looked across the bog to the far tree line. Darkness had settled there. In an instant, the hot day disappeared. Like plunging into a pool, a cool pond, my skin was bathed in refreshing air. Something stirred in the woods. My searching eyes discovered a ribbon of cloud forming at the base of the tree line. Ghostly, it hovered, expanded, then slowly advanced as though it knew where it was going. Steady, it floated, growing wider and deeper, creeping closer. It inched its way up the hill where I sat, engulfing me in a soothing blanket. My restless spirit has nowhere to go. I was already there. That's how my story begins, in a quiet field at dusk with the fog coming in. When times are difficult, I call on the fog. Embrace me, claim me, calm me. I'm sustained. And that's the beginning of my memoir.
It sounds very spiritual.
It's a bit of everything, really. There's even fiction in there, nonfiction, and it's kind of a picture of how you can go from nonfiction, in other words, telling your life story, and then pulling fiction out of it. And I had a lot of fun doing that. There were quite a few stories that I told where
We lost Barbara. I don't know, she got muted somehow. Can you hear me? Can people hear me? I see. Okay, I see you can hear me. I do apologize, Barbara. We'll move on till we figure out what's going on. DL, I'm going to go to you because you're used to glitches and you can deal with glitches. Right? Now,
Yeah.
D.L. Havlin, I've known him for a number of years. He has written 20 books, and 9 of them are published, and he's got one coming out, and he's dealing with Netflix. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with you and Netflix? That's quite a feather in your cap.
Well, I really can't tell you very much. My literary agent has most to deal with that. Actually, she has one of my previous books and one of the ones that's not yet published that she's working with them on at this point. That's one of the things that self-publishing really is nice because you really know what's going on. And once you get into a situation where you're represented by an agent, you lose a lot of the contact and control that you have. I guess if something else that's pretty exciting that I didn't mention, I think is important. Coming out, I'm going to have a short story in a book that's going to be published at Christmas time. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Oak Ridge Boys. They're a country music group that was extremely popular back in the 80s and 90s and the early 2000s. And they're bringing out a recorded album called Christmas Cookies. And one of the Oak Ridge Boys is also a writer. And there will be an accompanying short story collection called Christmas Cookies that will be out. And they've selected me to put one of my short stories. It's a short story called Aunt Elvira's Jewels. And it will be in that book. It's going to be available for pre-order on November 1st, and it's going to be published by Ally.
Congratulations. Wonderful.
And
I see the Oak Ridge Boys are going to be in Punta Gorda.
We're hoping to have the book out, in time to do that. And I hope to visit a couple of their performances around the state here.
Okay, DL, I dropped the ball when I didn't tell you about our 3-minute shtick. I want you to go ahead and read what you pulled for us.
It takes a long time. Let me pull it up then. I shut it down.
Okay, I'll tell you what. While you're pulling it up, I'll go on and then we'll come back. McLaren, I don't know what happened. You got muted, and we're going to come back to you too. Okay, so I apologize for that. All right. Ethan Babb is going to be in training to be our tech when we go back. And Ethan, what do you have for us today?
Poems. I have 2 poems. One is shorter than the other, both under 3 minutes.
Right. I'm aware of that. So that's fine. You're free to go. Go ahead.
The first one's called Ravens. Majestic blackbirds, small yet intimidating, or rather insightful. They attack you when you get close to their nest, but they are small birds of prey, maybe even predators to small creatures such as mice and lizards. Ravens, majestic, small, vigorous blackbirds.
Okay, thank you. All right, you have another one that I really like. What's the title of your next one?
It's called Dyspraxia.
Okay, listen up, folks. Please go forward.
Okay. A hidden learning difference that affects a small percentage of people. It is a piece of me, something that makes me disabled. It comes in many different forms. Since you can't see it, I appear to be part of normal society. There are daily hurdles that I go through, but you don't see it. Dyspraxia makes it hard for me to learn, read, write, and even walk. Some days are easier and others harder. Yet some people don't see anything wrong. They don't sit and listen to know what it's like. People may not see it and assume nothing's wrong. To keep the illusion going takes a mental toll and takes twice the power to seem like everything is okay. Never met another person with dyspraxia, so I'm sat here alone with no one to talk to. Nothing to be ashamed of, yet I keep it hidden. Want to be proud of the learning difficulty that I have. Until people are open to hearing and learning about dyspraxia, it will remain hidden and no one will know about it except the people who have it.
Thank you. You performed an important public service for us today, and it took a lot of courage, and I had never heard of it until I met you. And I got on the internet, and I read that 1 in 10 are the odds knowing anything about dyspraxia. And it's a neurological, this is what the internet says, so I have to believe it, right? It says dyspraxia is a neurological disorder throughout the brain that results in lifelong impaired motor and memory processing and other cognitive skills. Dyspraxia also impacts the immune and central nervous systems. Each dyspraxia person has different abilities and weaknesses, as dyspraxia often comes with a variety of comorbidities. The most common of these is developmental coordination disorder, known as D like dog, C, D. A motor planning based disorder that impacts fine and gross motor development. So we do thank you for that. And you come back. And I'm going to go back to McLaren. Oh, she's not here with us right now. Okay. Alan, what do you have?
There's quite a short one here to start.
Okay.
This is the Florida Alps. Countless garbage hills under construction. Some with lighted venting pipes. Giant birthday cakes showing examples of what poor custodians we are. A showcase of our throwaway. Massive growing mounds of trash. Visual monuments to garbage. Recycling once our catchphrase. Hopelessly behind the 8 ball. More out of proportion every day. Challenging the Rocky Mountains. Our Sierra Nevada. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you, Alan. Okay. Carol, what do you have for us?
A few short poems.
Okay.
So we have Strength for the Day. Clouds cast a whisper of beaming light across the meadow of golden grain. God's presence, warm and welcome, offers grace and rest and calm. May He comfort you in storms, uplift you in your walk with life, with Him, and gird you with unwavering resolve to continue in His path.
Thank you, Carol.
And I have The Dance of Autumn. Leaves falling carelessly against a mauve-spattered sky, dancing like ivy, flirting with the wind, swaying to the music of the breeze, and playing catch me if you can. Fair autumn, your majesty commands first place among all seasons. Drape your crimson and emerald gold over my shoulders. Stay a while, most passionate autumn song. Stay a while longer. Warm me with color before winter breaks the day with its brisk bite of winter cold and ice. October morn, wait, wait, wait.
Very nice. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
Okay, Scott, what do you have?
Here, so I've missed everybody, and I like to see all the new faces today. I just want to say I'm coming from the Northport Art Center. They graciously let me record the show here, and they have a new show that's called Get Inspired by Sound. So it's going all through September, and they have a reception on Friday, September 10th from 6 to 8 here at the Art Center in Northport. It's a beautiful show. Come check it out, or even come write a poem about one of the art pieces. Okay, I just wanted to mention that. And one more thing, my group, the Northport Poetry Workshop, was planning to resume meetings in September here at the Art Center. And I was really, really looking forward to announcing we could do that. But I do believe that we were still going to hold off for a couple of months until the Delta variant is under control and we all feel comfortable getting out in groups again. So I was really hoping we could have a fun autumn, but we will just delay it a little bit and get back together in a while. But here are my poems for today. 2 shorties.
Okay.
The rabbit hole. A thread was pulled from the hem of my coat. I am frayed, unraveling, my stitches come loose. Those soft green eyes were smiling last I saw you years ago. Hit and miss this game. You fell into the deep, broken. Are you happier? Was there a rapture? Was your soul sanctified? Was there a letter? It's all over now but the crying. The second poem relates to this first poem, unfortunately, and you will see why. Amber waves. Flies are dropping. Each little grain, toxic like sugar, feels too good. Amber waves of death. The higher you go, the harder the crash. Coming down, junk sick. Shake that bottle. Fall to pieces. Count the pills. Curse your life. Sometimes tomorrow never comes. Who notices one less? All worlds have flies that they're dropping.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Little heavy content, but these events happened in my life 2 months in a row. Friends have passed over addiction. And I just thought, I know we have a lot going on in our country this week. It's been a sad week, but this has been a sad summer for me. And I just had to get some poetry out there to reflect on. We have a lot of problems going on here.
Yes, we do. And I normally don't want to interject with such horrific comments, but I'm going to because drugs are ruining our country. In my neighborhood alone, I can't tell you the number of people in this 100 house development, how many people have adult children with drug problems. And one of our neighbors has a grandchild who died of COVID. There was no he was 21, so he should have had this shot. His mother, I guess, has addiction problems, and she died the day after his funeral in a fire. So
it's just horrible, Linda. Yeah, it's just a lot to deal with for everybody. I mean, the closer, the longer this COVID goes on, it seems the closer it gets to our circle of our own people and our friends. I mean, those 2 young people that died of the addiction were just in their 40s, and that's very sad. Like you said, adult children are not handling this situation, and I think that the combination of the restrictions that we've been living under haven't been easy for people that have those problems. So,
yeah.
I think
imagine being in a high-rise apartment in New York City, and how do you get out and this and that?
Made it worse. Yeah. Well, yeah. I'll be lighter than, and if we have time for another round, I'll have much lighter content.
I think we'll have time.
Okay.
Yeah. McLaren, I want to come back to you. Somehow you got muted and we interrupted you. Would you like to finish what you were saying?
Well, I'd be glad to. I'm not sure where I was cut off, but what I can do is give you another example of what's in my memoir, Living Life Inside Out. This one has This one has quite a bit of humor in it.
Okay.
All right. It's called Life on the Street. Europe was tearing itself apart during World War II, while I was leading my own survival campaign in St. Paul, Minnesota. At age 3, I roamed freely up and down our street, East Nevada. It was a time when parents had little worry for the safety of children. Neighbors watched out for kids gone out to play. It was also a time when strangers were within their rights to discipline any child, and my parents had taught me to respect my elders. One day, while I was righteously bawling out Dickie Hilden, a witness to my outburst saw and heard it all. She was a specter of an old woman, attired in hat and veil, dress and gloves fit for a funeral. She called out, "Little girl, if I ever catch you saying a naughty word again, I'm going to march you right up to your mother and tell her what you said. Do you hear me? Shame on you," yelling at that nice boy over there. That nice boy over there was bent double, laughing. She shook her finger at me while the other hand leaned heavily on a sturdy cane. And look at you, all dirty. Never mind that Dickie Hilden had just tricked me into standing in a hole where he had buried a loop of rope, wetting the clay down so the rope couldn't be seen. Go ahead, he had said. Step in the hole. It's for spy catching. I want to see if it works. You want to help catch German spies, don't you? And never mind, once I had stepped into the hole, Dickie had pulled the free end of the rope, causing my feet to give way in a whoosh. I fell back on my bum, hitting my head on the side of the hole. My dress was streaked with mud, my face and hands smeared in clay. Betrayal seared my innocent and empty brain. With a whoop of words, I let Dickie Hilden have it. I don't recall what I told him to do with himself. I hadn't learned to curse yet. That lesson was waiting for me 9 years hence when the minister's daughter would take me out behind the church and reveal her choicest blue words. It's enough to say I was angry and I hated Dickie Hilden. On top of it all, getting dirty was a no-no for nice girls. And never mind that while the old lady was dressing me down, I had to go potty, dancing from foot to foot. Stand still, she said, when I'm talking to you. That old lady was a witch right out of Snow White, but the old prune wasn't done yet. What is that wet spot on the sidewalk? With an intake of breath, the old woman answered her own question and covered her flabbergasted mouth. Oh, you nasty child. I didn't wait for more scolding, but scurried home to face a spanking for my wet pants. Life on East Nevada may have been safe, but I was learning it sure wasn't fair.
Thank you very much. And your memoir reminds me to tell people that Barbara Field, the lady who first came on, teaches memoir writing. And if you want to get in touch with her, contact me and I'll ask her to get in touch with you. And my email is lshell2@verizon.net. Now we're going to circle back to DL. Okay, DL.
Okay, I have what I have here is an excerpt from an unpublished manuscript called The Three Lives of Larry Siegel. Appropriately, this excerpt is about youth baseball since the Little League World Series, and I hope to maybe inject a little levity in these events of the last few days have been pretty somber. This book is told through a unique standpoint. It's told in the third person, and the person telling the stories is the horn-rimmed glasses of the heroine. So with that as background, I'm going to tell you where we're at in the story. Larry coaches a Little League team. He is in the championship game. It's the last half of the last inning. 0-0 is the score, and he's forced to pinch hit his poorest player, Martin Fetterman. That's the team's last hope. And Martin has touched the ball with a swing for the first time all season. And this is where I'm going to pick up the manuscript. It was a little thing, just one tiny little thing, a thing the opposing manager worked hard to eliminate. As the catcher bent to pick up the ball, he took his eye off it to sneak a peek at the runner. His foot kicked the ball 10 feet towards the pitcher. Pitcher Grittenhouse jumped forward, snatched the ball from the ground, and fired the spheroid at first, but 10 feet over it. The ball rolled all the way to the right field corner. Larry saw the whole panorama evolve in slow motion. Martin was struggling down to first base, his chubby legs rebelling at every awkward step. When Martin Fetterman's foot touched the bag and he rounded first, Larry and I thought we could see a fantastic change. Suddenly, antlers appeared from the boy's brows, and a white, flag-like furry tail rose from his ample hindquarters. His strides strengthened and lengthened into graceful bounds. Larry and I fancied we could hear the music from Chariots of Fire playing in the background. The right fielder picked up the baseball when Fetterman was a few strides from second. Larry screamed, "Stop," and held up his hands. The first base coach, Ted, in his double-edged excitement, had lost judgment and had forgotten how slow the runner was. He circled his arms frantically, yelling, "Go, go, go." Fetterman was only 10 feet past second base when the relay man caught the right fielder's throw. At exactly this time, Martin saw Larry's hands and he stopped, confused, immobile, and unsure on the base path. The relay man threw to second base. Fetterman was as dead as a one-legged mouse in a cat's cage. Larry had no other alternative. He waved Martin to third. Fetterman moved his concrete-encased feet, and Siegfried's funeral march replaced Chariots of Fire. As he'd been drilled, the shortstop gave chase to Fetterman, forcing the runner to commit to making it to third base. The Green Devil shortstop found that Martin's large body presented a major obstacle for his toss to third, and he adjusted his position to throw around the runner. The result was a bouncing ball the third baseman took a swipe at and deflected down the foul line into shallow left field. An unprayed-for miracle had happened, and Larry yelled at Fetterman to stop. Maybe it was a screaming crowd, or the fact that Fetterman had never been on base to look or listen for a coach's signals, or maybe he had heard Truman Capote's words regarding 15 minutes of fame. Martin never slowed as he touched third base with one humongous hoof and continued his turtleoid progress to the plate. Moments like this often proceed in slow motion for players and coaches in an athletic contest. It didn't happen for this moment of truth. Fetterman's plodding steps, swaying body, and bouncing head lumbered down the base line and made it unnecessary. Larry joined the crowd screaming, "Go, Fetterman, go." The CD changer in Larry's mind fed in a new tune, and Ev Dirkson's rendition of The Impossible Dream circulated through his brain. This was short-lived. A baritone voice yelled, "I got it." Rotenhouse leaned over to pick up the ball. The theme from Jaws replaced The Impossible Dream in one heartbeat. Poor Fetterman might have had a chance with anyone else, but Rotenhouse had that thunderbolt arm. Larry and I looked at the plate. The catcher was squatted low in front of the white pentagon, blocking a runner from extending a sliding foot to safety. The catcher didn't need to worry. Fetterman had no idea how to slide. Rotenhouse lined up his throw from the left field line behind third. Even a fast runner would be cut down by a step or two. The horsehide smoked past Larry on its way to the plate. As the ball approached Fetterman, one of his awkward, ungainly strides launched his body and head to the left. Now only a few steps from the plate, the ball struck Fetterman squarely in the back of the head. He took another step before falling, his eyes rolling upward into unconscious bliss, his body falling onto the crouched catcher. Trying to scramble after the ball, the catcher started to rise. The same time Fetterman came in contact with him, catapulting Fetterman into a swan dive. Martin struck the ground face first, his nose planted squarely in the middle of home plate. "Safe!" the umpire screamed. "Safe!" Somewhere in Russia, a farmer tilling his field heard it. "Safe!" A Chinese seamstress looked up from her sewing machine and heard it. "Safe!" An Arrigo Indian hesitated spearing a fish in the Amazon as he wondered what safe was. The Star-Spangled Banner replaced the ominous strains of Jaws. Fetterman revived after a few anxious seconds on the ground, the joy in his heart growing much faster than the lump on the back of his head. The players, coaches of the victorious Pirates joined each other in a pandemonious pile of celebrating arms and legs in the infield center.
Thank you, DL. And you're safe to come back again if you like.
Oh, anytime. I enjoy it. Quite honestly, I've been challenged with trying to write 3 books a year. So that's what my agents asked me to do. So I don't have the time I used to have.
Oh, I feel anxiety already. Gee. 3 books a year.
I love to write, so it's a pleasurable pleasure. Okay.
Good for you. Good for you. Okay, Alan, you had a shorty. What do you have for us now?
Another quite shorty.
Okay.
Okay, this is called Paper. It's a rhyme. Stacks of paper rule my life, frustrate my orderly, patient wife, who'll ask me time and time again to sort it out while she's still sane. But put it off just one more day, continued paper cabaret, and move some piles across the room. I've made a start, she might assume. But pile on pile that's seldom flipped, that massive mound of manuscript, spousal monuments of protestation, helps not heal procrastination, suggests my spirit to assail. Benign attempts to no avail, and be on guard should she bespeak. I'll wince and turn the other cheek. While I worked, it was no joy to sift through reams for my employ, weather maps and all be cursed stuff, an envelope till it burns. But now retired and wanting less, feel buried neath this endless mess of page on page, my soul laments to rid my life of documents. And what of axe and saw brigades, and crashing trunks in forest glades? How much pulp? I couldn't guess, to build this tier upon my desk. Sawmills soon reduced to dust, peroxide baths churn sloppy must. And yet, alas, it seems to me, it should be much simpler to shred a tree. Thank you.
I love it. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Carol, what do you have?
I'm just laughing because I'm very familiar with those piles of paper moving
Aren't we
from
all?
place to place. I do have a poem for you, and it's called I Caught a Gold Ring Once. It was all starburst and sizzle and glitter and glitz, this gold ring, and sunlight and lovelight and moonlight and twilight, and warm and real and new and fun, all packaged and wrapped and cuddled and snuggled and cared for and dared for and wished for and hoped for, all emeralds and rubies and purple and sapphire. It danced and sang and curtsied and prayed and shifted and cried and sighed and grieved. It wept and fell and waxed and waned. I caught a gold ring once, shining in the sun's blaze, blinding in shine. It was gold wrapped in blue velvet with diamonds for lace. It crinkled and rippled raindrops under fire. It was mine for a time in its fullness, and I seized it and clutched it close to my heart. It was only when I fell under the weight of it that I recognized its damning cost.
Thank you. You have another one for us?
Yes, I do. I have A Curious State of Grace. Never thought about it much till now, this timeline. Youth. Ah, splendid youth and fluid movement, quick and sure without hesitation. Hourglass body figure, skin taut, catapulting into a curious state of grace. Beautiful, bright brown eyes grow tired, eyesight dimming, hearing halved, stature shrinking, yet a state of grace nonetheless, curious as it may be, where steps are slow, labored, deliberate. And hands don't look the same as they did a few weeks ago when we were 23. It seems like just a few weeks ago to me. Now I know what my dad meant when he said upon the birth of my first baby, blink your eyes and you'll be preparing for her wedding day. Time passes swiftly by. and the smoothness of my hands has gone, and the plump, fleshy allure has disappeared, replaced with a lean appearance, worn and tired. But I can still remove a cover from a jar of red raspberry preserve. Above all, I can still fold my hands and bow my head in prayer and talk to my Lord and thank Him that He has kept my mind intact for all these years. Never thought about change much till now. Never thought about the way change occurs ever so slowly every day. The way our faces and bodies are always changing, demonstrating to those close by that we have lived and loved and struggled and endured. My hands worked hard for my family, for people I know, for strangers. I was a seamstress and proud of my offering. Today, my smile is welcomed in rooms where I enter, and I am at peace with who I am and where I've been and where I'm going.
Very good. Some people never get to that place.
True.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to read one from Isolde Hunter. She sang backup for Harry Belafonte, by the way.
Yes.
It's called Lady Living Long. Life gives us endless days of happiness, yet I'm aware there are always dues to pay. When things go smoothly, worry I suppress. Too good to be true fears I must allay. I see the son I raised meet with success. New bride, new home, good job. What could go wrong? Yet something nags at night I must repress. What goes up must come down, that well-worn song. Days fly, my years mount up in disbelief, both setbacks and rewards I take in stride. Each birth or death fills me with joy or grief, while gratitude for my life I can't hide. Eventually, we all must face the truth after our years of struggling to survive. Prosperity rewards. Sometimes there's proof. It matters not. No one gets out alive. Thank you, Izzy. And that dovetails very well into what Carol's poem was about. And Scott, now you promised us you wouldn't be a downer this time. Can you keep your promise?
Yeah, bring me back, Albert. Yes, I have.
Okay.
So in my absence, I have a fun project that I was asked to do with a photographer here at the Art Center. Her name is Linda Moreau, and she sent me a series, like 15 photographs, beautiful photographs, and she asked me to write one poem on 15 photographs. I couldn't do that. I wrote 7 poems, and the whole project was for a photo directory for the condo that she lives in Port Charlotte at Harbor Village. So I'm going to read just one of the fun ones, because I have a lot of fun ones in this project. But the directory is finished, and out of the 7, I had 4 of my poems were put into this photo directory of the owners at the Harbor Village. So this is just one, and it's kind of a fun one. It's called Catatonic. My given name is Robert D. Katz Meow. I live here at the village. You are actually standing in my backyard. Sure, it's currently your living room, but I'm a cool cat. You may stay where you're at. I, however, am not just a people person. What can I say? You all give me the willies. Please do not, I repeat, do not call me kitty. Once I'm spooked, I'm not responsible. I'm not a poser, more of a scaredy cat. Why you gotta do me like that? I'm thinking about jumping rope, but my belly is dragging the ground. It would be easier to get a lift. Wild animals do not possess money, but I'm still a fat cat. To the wee pink weeds, I tip my hat. I am more than my spotted coat. I am more than my rosy nose. I am a cry in the dark. Beauty is my currency, but I'm not a stingy cat. Let me lay on your doormat. Mingling among friends, I am but one of many. Take a picture, it'll last longer. Share me, go ahead, make me a copycat. Better yet, get me as a tat. Okay, we're gonna do this all day. A stare off, really? Do not look for a tail. It is simply not there. After all, I am a bobcat. You caught me where I sat.
Anyone who loves cats, right?
Well, the photo is just beautiful. It's on the grounds of the village where the lady lived, and it was just sitting there, and she just amazingly got this beautiful picture of it laying on the ground, getting ready to jump rope. It looked like in the photograph. So maybe I'll bring the photos with me the next time and show you what I'm talking about. I just didn't have time to get that email sent in to Marie, but next time I will. And we'll see what we're talking about.
Right. Well, pictures really add to it.
It
So
will add to it,
please
yeah.
do that. Yes. Okay. It's my job to read for folks that don't have the technological apparatuses on their computer to join us. And so I'm going to read Linda Wright's poem. She's in the Carolinas, and they don't even have internet connection that they can depend on. And don't you think the whole country needs internet connection? I can't imagine that situation. It's called It's in the Timing. It takes time for a thunderstorm to pass, drenching the songs of a lifetime, rewriting from scratch, hesitant to start over again from the beginning. It takes time for the rains of spring to recreate beauty of flowers from seedlings planted with love, digging in the dirt with bare hands, spacing out each one oar sporadically so they can sing and wave free in the wind on the highest scales. It takes time to recover from a song's end, where each phrase or a pause be a measure of one's life, waiting to hear it again and again, but knowing you can listen from time to time. It takes time to think about composing again, starting with that first note, just a half step leading to a verse or a first movement that the soul pulls out of the heart to complete the composition. A musician or orchestra added, perhaps, to enhance the melody. It just takes time. Thank you, Linda. And I couldn't help but think of sort of a negative when I was reading that, because there's a lot of wisdom in that. And what I'm going to share with you is the Taliban says to the United States, you've got the watch, but we've got the time. So it does take time. And I've got one from Mike Neville. He taught me how fish and how to hunt. I loved it when he would call me son. I look back and I miss so much the smile on his face and his gentle touch. I'll never forget what Daddy said to me. Son, have a plan. Don't live your life so selfishly. It makes me cry when I think of him, but I love the joy that those tears bring. One day I had it all, then my world came tumbling down. Daddy died. Darkness came from all around. Daddy, I love you and I always will. With you gone now, I'll never get my fill. I'm taking care of Mama, just like you wanted me to, and we still cry a tear every time we talk of you. Thank you, Mike. And I have one from Emma Fikes Alberts, our hostess when we're at Common Grounds Meeting Hall, when we're real live people. And it's called Dolores. It was to her friend Dolores. You are strong, yet vulnerable. You are wise, yet naive. Your kindnesses could not ever be repaid. You look for dreams that do not exist. Your pain is your badge of courage. All of the mistakes you have made have been in the name of love. I can never judge you, my beloved friend, for we have walked in each other's shoes for many lifetimes. Thank you very much, Emma. Okay. McLaren, do you have anything for us?
life on the street. Let's see where I pick it up. Oh, when I tired of all the drama on the street, I headed to the other end of the block. Florence Kinline lived there, a pretty redhead who looked like Patty of the Andrews Sisters, a popular singing trio of the 1940s. Maybe I thought she was Patty resting up for her next gig. She had no kids, so she always invited me in and fed me cookies or brownies, sometimes ice cream. But one day I knocked, and she didn't come to the kitchen door. I knocked again and again. Frustrated and disappointed, I yelled, "I know you're in there, Kinline. Let me in." Finally, I heard her voice. "I can't let you in, kiddo. I'm scrubbing and waxing the floor." In those days, scrubbing the kitchen linoleum was a big deal. Once scrubbed, all the shiny wax ended up in the scrub bucket. Re-waxing the floor took hours before it could be walked on. But at the time, I didn't know that. My issue was being called kiddo. It had such a thuddy sound. I didn't want to be called kiddo, and I didn't want to be stuck with that name. But the only word I could think of that was cutting edge sharp was not the best choice. I yelled through the door, "Don't call me kiddo. Call me stupid." That one slip of the tongue inducted me into neighborhood lore and remained well after I learned the meaning of stupid. And after a reflection on this chapter, I say, I take away from the outspoken girl that I once was, a child who knew her own mind. She didn't want to be stuck with the nickname of kiddo. Not only did she tell Kinline so, but she gave her older friend an alternative nickname to use. I liked her originality, flawed though it was, and why she would call a grown-up by her last name an impertinence is plain funny to me now. But there was something there, something important. The girl who I was took initiative. She knew what she wanted, and she went after it. However, there would come a time in my life after years of put-downs and abuse when I would lose track of that spunky little girl. I no longer knew what I wanted, or even when I did, I suppressed it. No sense inviting harm to myself. I had to find that girl and start all over. Could I recover what had come so easily for me at age 3? How would I do that? And then the rest of the story follows after that.
Okay. I'm amazed at how you remember so long ago and so vividly. Well, we've got about a minute and a half. Alan, do you have a shorty for us?
I do.
Okay.
Service for a homeless man. From the side, John McEnroe's double. Dirty clothes say sleeping rough. A feeble cardboard sign played hungry. Ensuring I'll return, he responded gruff. Close by, an Arby's beef stuffed sandwich, napkins, hardly needed, one would think. Spicy pigtail fries help fill a greasy bag. Ice cubes jingle in a cold sweat drink. I'm back, bearing fast food bounty. He stands before me, now no menace. A softer, grateful look on sallow face. Across his grubby t-shirt spelled tennis.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Ethan, I want to thank you for coming on, and I know that you read everything that you had, but maybe next week or sometime this month you'll have more to share with us.
I do have more.
Okay.
Yay.
Then we're going to have, I didn't know you had more for today, or I would have called you, and I apologize.
It's fine.
Okay. All right. Lots of nice new faces. We hope you'll come back. It makes the show much more interesting when people are here rather than listening to me read. Okay. And it's time to end, I'm afraid.
Okay.
We hope you've enjoyed today's show, and thank you, Marie, for your teching and for making sure that things run smoothly. And a special thank you to our station manager and boss, RJ Malloy, for giving us this wonderful opportunity to share our talents. Thanks for listening. Have a great week, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.